One of my friends, an up and coming poker pro, had one of the best ways I've ever heard of breaking down a table. So when he would first sit down at a table, he would classify everybody as a nit, station, or maniac, and then he would adjust his play because what he noticed is that nits beat stations, stations beat maniacs, maniacs beat nits. Why this was so smart is most people, when they sit down, they'll tell you, I'm an aggressive player, or I'm a solid player, or I'm a tight player. With this particular up and coming pro, you never had any idea who he was because he would change based on every single player, and that kept everybody guessing and that kept him profiting. So that's something you want to do as well. So the first thing you want to be looking for when you get to the table is how do people handle themselves? So nits are usually pretty worried about playing a hand that's going to cost them quite a bit of money. So you'll notice them being very comfortable with folding, keeping their chips neat, watching the action, and not participating. That is going to be someone you want to bluff against consistently because they're usually going to find the big fold on the river. Stations are what most people are. Stations tend to waffle around a lot pre-flop. They tend to waffle around post-flop. They see too many flops because flops excite them. They see too many showdowns because showdowns are fun for them. So if you constantly see someone getting to the river with goofy hands or staying around flop, turn in river way too often, that's going to be a station versus them. You want to get a slightly better hand than their range. It doesn't take much. And then you're going to value bet profusely. And then maniacs, don't worry about maniacs. You'll know who they are pretty quickly. They like to announce themselves. They usually like the attention. If you pay attention to a lot of them, they really only have one trick, which is when you call down, they keep putting pressure on you if it's unlikely you have your best hands. So versus them, you have to just pick a top pair and call down and hope for the best. And it's a much more invariance intensive way to play, but you'll catch them in a lot of bluffs. So the reason this benefits you at the table is it gets you out of the standard way of playing. Most people play poker based on their personality. The people who like to have fun usually see too many flops and usually see too many showdowns. The people who are very conservative fiscally tend to be a little too tight. The people who want to blow off steam tend to be maniacs. You don't want to be any of these three. You want to be someone who can adjust at the table based on what the table is willing to give you. If there's free money on that table, you want to take it. And you're not going to be a good poker player until you learn how to adjust based on every player you're playing against.